You could look at the celestial beings slash objects as something like parents or camp counselors, because as the parents and camp counselors uphold some type of example, the students around it, in a natural neutral effect, they kind of naturally replicate, right? So it's like, and there's nothing bad or good with that, but it's how you do it, what you're doing it for, what your intention is, what your level of understanding is, and how that's ultimately being, how that is accumulating as that energetic influence, is being subtly distributed. So as these celestial beings slash objects, they take different forms. Their forms, as their material and lesser material, for some odd reason, they're in their material expansions of themselves. They're in a stationary transitory pathway. So as they're in a stationary transitory pathway, the game is what the game is. The matrix infrastructure, there's fixed integers. And from those, there's something in my shoe. What's in my shoe? That got in my shoe somehow. There's fixed integers, and from those fixed integers, their protocols of energy based on their beacon influence. That's what's making the game from a subtle to non-subtle level. From that subtle to non-subtle level, that funnel of energy is it's distributing the influence already, So what spiritual wealth is the ability and the talent and gift to be cultivated over time through the different contexts of the planets. And the different contexts of the planets they're in the material infrastructure. Through that material infrastructure and their challenges, we're growing their non-material talent, which is the force of energy that's culminated from them. So it's like Mars is the force of nature of something of a willpower, something of determination, something of exalted crown. Mars rules the first house. The sun is exalted in the first house. So Mars is something like, the materialistic physical crown that you get just by being human. You always have it, but it's exalted when the sun, your fifth house, comes to rise to the challenge to the first house. So this is like, later today, I'm going to see like a different, I'm going to see the readings. I'm going to read the readings in a different way, in a whole different way. And then I'll give a better breakdown on like what I'm talking about, but the celestial object planets, they could be looked at as camp counselors or parents or guardians or aunts or uncles or whatever, something of that metaphorical example. And they're upholding an energetic example in how their influence and their example gets transferred to the global population. Mars being in the solar system affects Earth, and Mars being in a certain constellation, and that constellation niche expressing itself in different ways, that material beacon is influencing the willpower and the determination and, the passionate desires within where it's at and how it's aspecting with the other beacon planets. So pretty much spiritual wealth is starting off with like Mars and Saturn, and spiritual wealth is like, it's just seeing how we get we are of those talents. And, it's like the kids from the camp counselor. The camp counselor has an example. The kids are going to follow that example naturally. They're going to live out and play out what they're seeing. The examples are in front of them. And if there's a lack of examples, that's their lack of a particular awareness, But like on a basic level, if it's higher octave or lower octave or standard, influence of that, the Mars and Saturn, it's always first, because Oh, I'm Skyping someone right now.
Okay, were you looking for manager?
Yeah.
Okay, when you're done, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, so being polite, be professional, please. So that's the thing. Mars and Saturn, they are what they are, and we have them to some standard fragmented influence, you know, because like we're going through Mars and Saturn, right? But for Mars and Saturn and all the other planets to be exalted and balanced, you need a collection of the other energies and how the other energies could compensate those planets in a new way through your evolution. So it's through your evolution that we're working with it, you know, because we're coming into the earth when we're incarnating out of the your mother's womb. We're already in a Mars aspect, you know. We're being our inner Mars is going through the portal. It's going through the crown chakra. The magnetic monopole and the personality crystal are coming into the crown chakra, and they're entering in the G center, and they're animating the whole body respectively. And the underground is way different. But like at first foot, when we're incarnated into the planet, it's Mars then Saturn, because Mars is just our like how we're landing, how our material body is landing. And when we're born, that Mars energy on one of the surface levels from in between the Earth and Mars in a different context, it's the surface level to how we're being influenced, how we're being driven to do what we do. When we're born, the Mars it's influencing us the most. And after the Mars is the Saturn, it's the system, it's the quote unquote corporate system, and then it's the sun. So it's Mars, Saturn, Sun. And from the Mars, Saturn, and Sun, they could be either lower octave or higher octave, but it's still like they're still being tempered, though, you know. Even if it is high octave, it's still being tested throughout the reality, throughout the journey of your life, you know. So that's like something of like, you know, the foundation, right? Mars and Saturn, and if we have those lower octave, we might need other different energies to compensate them, to reestablish their lower octave fallen nature, to pick them back up. We might just like generally, just on a quote unquote miscellaneous level, end quote. If you have like a lower octave, like weak, debilitated Mars within the aspects of your planetary chart, or Saturn, you might lean towards other gifts from different aspects, stelliums, or just alignments within your chart, you know. Hey. But yeah, recap, like, you know, and if I see anybody from the past, it's like I've done so many recapped messages, you know, just like there's a like I already, like, you know, I'm a hermit, but like I'm not totally a hermit, you know. I accepted my hermit nature, but I'm not just a hermit, you know. Like I'll come back out into the reality if you know, nature's calling it, you know. But so this is a raw kind of presentation to it, you know. And if we know where Mars and Saturn are at and how they're aspecting, so Mars being in Capricorn, Saturn being in Pisces. So the depositor is Saturn in Pisces, you know. So it's like Capricorn, Pisces. That's a sextile. So what is a sextile? A sextile is pretty much, you know, a process to materialize something, you know, and having communications within, you know, the nearby vicinities, having neat communications, and having you know, unique associations, communications, and the process to, you know, to transit, journey, and materialize. That's what a sextile is to me. So the sextile is so if Capricorn and Pisces are sextiling, that's like putting the energy into your stability, structure, career, lifestyle, and your work environment towards your, you know, your dream life, fantasies, imagination, and your kind of even delusional phases and addictions, so those are being communicated. We're communicating those, and how they're a side-by-side thing in the whole bigger picture of the wheel of fortune of reality. The wheel of fortune of reality is the zodiac wheel, and we're pieces and fragments of that wheel of fortune, and we oscillate, and we come in and out of alignment. We come in and out of phase alignment within the wheel of fortune, not good, not bad, just naturally, because we're differentiated beings, and that differentiated beings, it uniquely goes back to wholeness within the dream, within the dream, within the dream. But then we come out of that dream, within the dream, within the dream. We come back here naturally, and we experience differentiation, fragmentation, differentiation, meaning we are isolated and individuated within our own singleized material character. So Mars and Saturn, we have passionate desires to be, obviously there's that psychological notion, king of the hill, and then there's that other psychological notion where like you're in your fantasies and delusions and you're totally lost from reality, and Saturn's telling you you're lost in a reality, more or less, and Mars is telling you that people are going to capitalize off of that. How they're going to capitalize it, the nature of in a neutral way, the nature of like fallen, beings in a neutral way though. So that's a casual one. I'll come back. And I don't really mind the replications. It's all good, that's just part of nature. It's not what you do, it's how you do it, It's like what, like are you doing it in like an outdated, distorted way? Like what you got to really ask, what is your approach and your intention, Like I don't like the replications, they're natural, but it's just like how you're doing it, Is it like, and it's all of them are seen on a higher Akashic Records level. So it's like, so there's like we have an absence of critical intelligence respectively. But yeah, so this is and obviously when I look at the chart of today, I'll break it down a little more better. So this was just a kind of a gist of what it is, and also recognizing how there has always been a secret harmonic collaboration with everything, but that's the illusion of this matrix covers that. Thank you guys. Have the best I've ever.